Hello and welcome everybody for a webinar on genetics. My dear students, genetics is part of your syllabus and few questions are posed on genetics in paper 1. So that is why we have decided to discuss on genetics. But the genetics is a different subject with a separate textbook. For your level, only outline of genetics is required. So we are not going to go in minute details of genetics, but we have to understand the outline of genetics or gross genetics, what we call. Okay. So genetics we will discuss in two sessions. I'll take first session today and remaining part of genetics I will discuss tomorrow. Okay, something has gone wrong. Okay, we have to put some correct. Basic concepts of genetics we will discuss today. Right from what is the meaning of genetics. I don't know how far you are aware about this topic, what has been taught to you during your junior college days. That I actually don't know. But during our time, when we were in junior college, actually genetics was not part of our syllabus. That is why I'll take right from the basic. Okay. Well, let us understand the definition of genetics first. We all know that genetics is a discipline of biology, means a branch of biology, and it is science of heredity. Heredity, everybody know. Science of heredity, which includes the study of genes and the inheritance of variation and the traits of living organisms. So in short, genetics is the study of the way animals and plants pass their characteristics on to their offsprings, such as color of eyes, hair color or height, body build, blood types, I mean blood group, intelligence, gender, overall physical personality, and what you call mental makeup, so many things. Those are all characteristics. So this is a science which deals with the uh, inheritance and traits which are passed by the parents to their offsprings. So that is what is called as heredity. Heredity, okay. And heredity means characteristics. What we are talking about, all these characteristics are there in front of you. So characteristic that a child receives from both the parents is called as heredity. And the science of heredity is called as genetics. Okay. Well, who discovered genetics? I think everybody know this. The name of the discoverer is Gregor Mendel. He was a Austrian monk. Austria, by the side of Germany in Europe, Central Europe. So in Austria, he was a monk, a Christian priest, and he discovered the principles of modern genetics while making what you call discoveries in his own garden. He had worked on peas. You can see peas here. So he's also called as father of modern genetics, Gregor Mendel. And from that we have got Mendel's law of inheritance or Mendelian, all that stuff, you know that. So principle of independent assortment was postulated by him. Inheritance of one trait that has no effect on the inheritance of another trait, and that credit goes to Gregor Johann Mendel. He was a priest, he was a what you call in charge of one church there. in the garden of his garden, he did all the discovery. So let us have some genetic information terms to our understanding. Gene, we have talked about gene. You can see gene 1 and gene 2 shown here on this diagram of DNA. So from chromosome you take DNA, and a section of DNA is called a gene. So there are so many genes here. It's a basic unit of genetic information. Genes determine the inherited characters from the ancestral lineage, okay, right from the parent and parents and so on. Now, what is genome? Genome means the collection of genetic information, overall total collection. And chromosomes, they are the storage units of genes. And DNA, it's a nucleic acid that contains the genetic instructions specifying the biological development of cellular forms of life. These are all basic. And some chromosome logical structure, two words, you should remember these two words, locus and allele. Location of a gene on the chromosome means locus and allele, one variant form of a gene at a particular locus. And what are the traits now? We talked about those things earlier, that is characteristics. A study of how traits are passed from parent to offspring. Here you can see some animals and birds, and you can see the parent and their offsprings. Similar things we find in human beings, okay? Like for example, you can see this rolling of the tongue. So everybody can't do that. So it's a common characteristics in some families. So if you try to do it, it will be not possible for you, because that may not be the characteristics of your family, okay? Here you can see another thing. There is a dimple on the cheek. So everybody doesn't have that. So those who have, they have it common in their families. Here you can see dimple on the chin, and you can see curly hair here. So hair and hairstyle, that all comes by heredity, and signs of heredity means genetics. Okay, the traits are determined by the genes on the chromosomes. I told you genes are the sections which are located on DNA, and they determine the traits. Okay, a gene is a segment of DNA that determine trait. Different traits we have talked about earlier. So in a human body is always copying DNA and making new cells. So body has got tissues, and tissues are made up of cells, and cells are made up of contain DNA, nucleus. Nucleus contains chromosome. Chromosomes have DNA have gene, and they are in pairs. These all things we have studied in cytology earlier. Now chromosome come in homologous pair. Homologous means same, similar, identical, sorry. Thus genes also come in pairs. Homologous pairs are having matching genes, one from female parent and one from male parent. So father and mother. So this is how the homologous pairs are made up of. For example, human beings have got 46 chromosomes, you know that. So there are 23 pairs. Okay. One set from father, 23 in spermatozoa, and one pair from mother, 23 in ovum. That's how we are making. One pair of homologous chromosomes. For example, how the color of eye is determined. That image is shown here. Dominant and recessive genes. Gene that prevents the other gene from showing is a dominant gene. So that means one gene which prevent other genes. So the gene which is prevented from showing becomes recessive. Okay, opposite of that. So gene that does not show, even though it is present, it's called as a recessive gene. But it is always present. Okay, so dominant or dominating, you can say. So one symbol of dominant gene, you just see through this image here. Uppercase letter T stands for dominant gene, and lowercase letter t stands for recessive gene. So what is the outcome here? This is a example of puppies. Dominant color is black and recessive color is white. So this is dominant recessive, role of dominant recessive genes. Another example is of thumb. The straight thumb is shown in uppercase T, and hitchhiker's thumb is shown in lowercase t. You can see this is a straight and this is hitchhiker. Okay, and here is a uh, example to show you that. So must have two recessive alleles for a recessive trait to show. Another example is of fur of puppies. Both genes of a pair are the same, homozygous or pure breed. So uppercase double T, homozygous dominant. So lowercase double T is homozygous recessive. One dominant and one recessive gives you heterozygous or hybrid. So BB and BB, TT heterozygous. Another information is about genotype and phenotype. Combination of genes of an organism has actual genetic or gene makeup is called as genotype. Okay. Here you can see the examples. Physical appearance resulting from genetic makeup or gene makeup is called as phenotype. So physical appearance resulting from genetic makeup is called as phenotype. For example, hitchhiker's thumb or straight thumb, what we saw in our previous example. The Punnett square probability used to predict the possible gene makeup of offspring is called as Punnett square. Example, black fur is dominant, white fur in mice. You can see this example of mice here. And here you can see male, female gametes example. There are lots of examples here and we have a less time. So you just fix your eyes on the screen and you can see the outcome. Here cross two hybrid mice and give the genotypic ratio and phenotypic ratio. You'll get the answer. Genotypic ratio 1 BB as to 2 BB as to 1 BB. Now B, capital B and small b, what you call uppercase and lowercase. And phenotypic ratio will get 3 black, 1 white. So it is 75% black and 25% white. Now a man and a woman both with brown eyes, capital B, marry and have a blue-eyed small b child. What are the genotypes of man, woman and child? So that you will see through this example. You can see the example. 1, 2, 3, 4. Crossing involving two traits of dihybrid crosses. So this is a big example, possible gametes and phenotypes what we get. You'll see that. Just look at the screen. Yes. 9331. 16. 9 s to 3 s to 3 s to 1. 9 black and straight. 3 black and curly. 3 brown and straight. 1 brown and curly. So this is the outcome of crossing involving two traits. Okay. Now in rabbits, black coat means black fur B is dominant over brown B and straight here H is dominant over curly here small h. To cross a rabbit that is homozygous dominant for both traits with a rabbit that is homozygous dominant for black coat and heterozygous for straight here. Then give the phenotypic ratio for the first generation of offsprings. So these are the examples, and you need not explain this because this is actually not asked in your exams. The what do you call medical genetics related to human beings is asked to you. I'm just showing you the examples. Now sex determination. Sex determination is now it is for human being here. I mean talking about human being. People 46 chromosome 23 pairs, 22 pairs are homologous, look alike. Homologous means look alike, called autosomes. They determine the body traits. And there is one pair of sex chromosome which determines sex, whether offspring is going to be male or a female. The female has sex chromosomes are homologous, look alike, labeled as XX, and male sex chromosomes are different, labeled as XY. So this is this example. Now, what is the probability of a couple having a boy or a girl? Okay, uh, chance of having a female baby. How much chance of having female baby? How much chance of having male baby? It is very simple, but through this example, I think it will clarify more. Okay, yeah. So chances of having female baby 50%, chances of a male baby 50%. Through this, what you call uh, diagram, you can understand this. And who determines sex of the child? I have told you yesterday. Of course, it is the male, that is father. Now next, now incomplete dominance and codominance. We talk about this. This is about flower. In carnations, the color red R is incomplete, dominant over white. Okay, the hybrid color is pink. Give the genotype and phenotypic ratio from cross between two pink flowers. So what you get? Genotypic and phenotypic. Yes, 1 S2, 2 S2, 1. So that is one red flower, two pink flowers, and one white flower. So when both the alleles are expressed codominance, example in certain chickens, black feathers are codominant with white feathers. Heterozygous chickens have black and white speckled feathers. Another example of sex-linked traits. Now this is about sex-linked trait. Genes from these traits are located only on the X chromosome, not on the Y chromosome. So X-linked, also it's called as. X-linked alleles always show up in males, whether dominant or recessive, because males have only one X chromosome. Another example is example of recessive sex-linked disorder, and that is color blindness. Okay, here you can see this image. Color blindness means inability to distinguish between certain colors, especially red and green. Okay, and various tests for color blindness are there. It is the inability to distinguish difference between certain colors. The most common type is red-green color blindness, where red and green are seen as the same color. You should see the numbers there in these images. 58, upper left is 18, another is E, another is 17, lower right. Okay. Next example is of hemophilia. Hemophilia means bleeding disorder. Blood doesn't get clotted here. This happens if father, in case it does not have hemophilia, a normal copy of gene, and mother is a carrier of hemophilia, one copy of hemophilia gene. And if they have 4 children, okay, if they have 4 children, suppose if first is daughter, she will not have hemophilia, normal copy of genes, just like father. And second daughter will be carrier of hemophilia, just like mother, one copy of hemophilia gene. But third offspring does not have hemophilia, normal copies of genes, son. Okay, third offspring, but first son. And the second son is fourth offspring, has a hemophilia, one copy of hemophilia gene. Now he is a sufferer. This fourth child is a sufferer of hemophilia. That is, he will suffer a lot from bleeding disorders shown here. Hemophilia is very common in these days. Another example, a female that has normal vision but is a carrier of color blindness marries a male with normal vision. Give the expected phenotypes of their children. This is example for that. What phenotype you get in this example? What is the outcome you see at the last? 2 normal vision females and 1 normal vision male and 1 color blind male. So that example which we saw, same is explained here again to understand the color blindness. Hemophilia and color blindness, these are the sex-linked disorders. Now, pedigrees graph represents how a trait is passed from parents to offspring. through this example. These are the examples to understand the genetics. Okay, you can have many examples here. Multiple alleles, 3 or more alleles of the same gene that code for a single trait. In human beings, how blood groups are determined. Okay, blood type is determined by 3 alleles A, B, O, but each human can only inherit 2 alleles. One is dominant, another recessive, and dominant A, B, and recessive O. Blood type is A, B, AB, and O. Okay, this is the example for that. What will be the possible blood types of children born to a female with type AB blood and a male with type O blood? So here the mother is AB and father is O. So children would be of what type? Here this is a father and mother, so mother and father, and here you can see the example. What probabilities you get here? Children would be type A or B only. Okay. Now mutations part we just talk about. Mutation means sudden genetic change. Okay, change in basic pair sequence of DNA. There is a sudden change, and that is called as mutation. Now, mutation can be harmful mutation. It can be beneficial mutation. It can be neutral mutation. Uh, these are the three ways we have. In harmful mutations, organism is less liable to survive genetic disorders, cancer, and death. That is the fate. In beneficial mutations, allows organism to better survive. It provides genetic variation. Neutral mutations neither harmful nor helpful to the organism. Mutations can occur in 2 ways: chromosomal mutation or genetic mutation. This virus, what we see these days, is undergoing genetic mutation. I'm talking about this COVID. Now, chromosomal mutation less common than gene mutation. We are talking about chromosomal mutation. Genetic mutation is different. It is less than a gene. So this is a less, but it is very harmful. More drastic, so harmful. Affects entire chromosome, so affects many genes rather than just one. It is caused by failure of the homologous chromosomes to separate normally during meiosis. Chromosome pairs no longer look the same, too few or too many genes and different shape. So how it happens, you see in this picture, by deletion, by duplication, by inversion, by translocation. Now, examples of chromosomal mutations. Okay, we have seen this yesterday while studying gametogenesis. One is Down syndrome. It is called as Down syndrome because Down discovered it. Down here, now, okay, surname. And it is also called as trisomy 21. It is called a trisomy 21 because you can see here, these are the, chromosomal numbers given here, 21. Instead of 2, we have 3. So it is a trisomy, 3 bodies. Trisomy means 3 bodies. There should be 2 bodies. So here 1 is extra. That is why we get 47. Instead of 22, we get here itself 23 plus, sorry, one autosome extra here. So 22 autosomes, if 22 plus 22, 44, we get 1 extra, it becomes 45 autosomes plus 2 sex chromosomes, X and Y for boys and X and X for girls. So we have a Down girl, we can have a Down boy. I'm showing you both examples, and they have got a typical physical appearance. All of them are mentally retarded. That is common. They are infertile because you don't get haploid number here. 47 number we get, 1 extra chromosome they have. And typical characteristic of this Down syndrome children is flattened nose. They have a mongoloid look, flattened nose and face, upward slanting eyes, okay, and normal palm creases, simian crease is marked there. widely separated first and second toes, just like gorillas, and increased skin creases on the sole of the feet. You can see these guys here, they are all Down's children. In examination 2 years back, in first paper, and I mean first paper, there was a short note on Down syndrome. That is why I'm taking this. For 1 or 2 questions, we have to, in order to complete the syllabus, we have to study genetics. I don't know how many colleges are dealing with genetics as far as first BHMS anatomy department is concerned, but I do that. At least outline gross idea about genetics should be given to the students. This is what I think. Now, another example is of Turner syndrome. Okay, in Turner syndrome, you can see only 45 chromosomes. So missing thing is one sex chromosome, and this is only in the females. So that means girls are affected, and they have a short, slow growth, heart problems they have, and you can see one shown here. X instead of 2, there is only one X, and there is no question of Y here. So one X is less, so they are not more feminine. So that is the main thing. So one sex chromosome is absent. In Down syndrome, one autosome is more. So it is 47, this is 45. And now Klinefelter syndrome. This is Turner syndrome, but only thing is that instead of autosome, here one sex chromosome is more, and that sex chromosome more is X, not Y. So instead of one X, they have two X. So X, Y, 3 chromosome plus 44, 47. So because of having one extra, these boys look more feminine. Look at them. They look more feminine. And because of 47 number, they can't have a haploid number. So they are infertile. That means they can't bear children. So in these boys, the testosterone level is low, and underdeveloped muscles, sparse facial hair, like they will not have beard or mustaches. If they have very sparse facial hair, they have. And you can see that XXY thing. These are the Klinefelter syndrome. In your paper, if there is a short note on Klinefelter syndrome, it will not be a surprising thing for anybody, because genetics is included in your syllabus. For that purpose, I am dealing with this topic today. Having an extra set of chromosome is fatal in animals, but in plants it makes them larger and harder. So for plants it is okay because they are immovable. Animals are movable. So gene or point mutation or genetic mutation, we will see through this slide. Most common and least drastic. Okay, genetic mutations are common. Only one gene is altered. Now examples: recessive gene mutation. These are common, and there are many people suffering from this genetic mutations, like sickle cell anemia. It's very common, where the red blood cells, RBCs, are sickle shaped. Sickle means that the farmers use that for cutting grass. Sickle, the shape of the RBC is like sickle. You can see here, sickle shape. And instead of round, they look like sickle, and they cannot carry enough oxygen to the body tissues. Heterozygous condition, and it protects people from malaria. This is about sickle cell anemia. Another example is of cystic fibrosis, where the mucus builds up in the lungs. Here the person is suffering from cystic fibrosis, and the mucus is collected more in the lungs. Another example is Tay-Sachs disease. It is about deterioration of nervous system, and there is early death in that. I don't want to go into the details of the disease because you are in first year. This again, by genetic disorders, you have to study in medicine, practice of medicine. Another example is of Phenylketonuria, PKU. An amino acid common in milk cannot be broken down. As it builds up, it causes mental retardation. Newborns are tested for this. Another example is, few more examples you can see here. dominant gene mutations, Huntington's disease, where there is gradual deterioration of brain tissue, shows up in middle age and is fatal. Dwarfism is another example. Dwarfism, you can see one normal horse here, and you can see one dwarf horse here. You can see a dwarf dog here also. You can see a dwarf baby here. So variety of skeletal abnormalities this dwarfism has. खुजेपण आपण त्याला मराठीमध्ये म्हणतो. So these are the different examples of genetic mutations. So I talked about chromosomal mutations and genetic mutations. We discussed it yesterday also. I'll be discussing some of the things again tomorrow. But don't forget at least the names, and don't forget to at least say what exactly it is. Then when you go for further course of studies during the studies of practice of medicine, medical genetics is also part of that. And for the purpose of building your base in a proper manner, I am dealing this topic step by step. After finishing genetics, of course, we are going for embryology. And some portion, because within span of 40 minutes, we cannot finish everything. And some things have to be, at least dealt once. So we are going to deal with these things tomorrow, again, in a different, weave. And with this, I end my today's webinar on genetics part 1, and remaining portion we will deal tomorrow. I hope you understood. If you have any questions, you keep your questions ready, and I'll come back to you after closing this session. And I hope, though this is a what you call little difficult part to understand, you have to look and read these examples again and again. I hope that you will do that at home, and those who have taken screenshots of the examples, you can read those examples again and again. And with this, I end today's webinar. Thank you. Thanks a lot. See you again tomorrow morning. Have a nice day.